Hello, namaste, sasrikal, good evening. Welcome to the S.S.Chandhok talk show. I'm your host and moderator, S.S.Chandhok. Today, we are here again with a very special and important topic, that is the pride of language learning. And we have very eminent guests and beautiful ladies over here from the different parts of the country. Without taking any time, I'll introduce you to the very first eminent guest. First of all, we have Sarita Nair, ma'am. She is the principal of Chetan Dataji Gaikwad English Medium School, Pune. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you,
Uh, Ma'am has done BSc, BEd, and MEd, and she's the principal, as we told, of Chetan Dataji Gaikwad English Medium School and Junior College, Khatki, Pune. And she's into education field from last 3 decades. Before introducing, we'll come up straight away to Sarita ma'am. Sarita ma'am, let's come up to you straight away. We should know, I mean, whatever I'm speaking about you, it would be better if you speak about that. Please let us know that have you come into this profession by chance or by choice? And how did you rose from a teacher to a principal? Because people think, the teachers think that principals, they're coming in a long car and sitting in an AC office, they're having a good time. They should know that all the principals, all the educators who are present here and who do come over here have not reached it like this only. They had to do a very hardship to reach over here. So ma'am, please let us know, first of all, that you came into the profession by chance or by choice. And how did you become from a teacher? How did you got inspired to become a principal of this school, which is very famous in Pune?
Thank you very much, sir. And very good evening to one and all. I have had the experience of teaching in various schools in the country by virtue of my husband being in the army. And my father was also in the army, and I chose this profession. It was by choice. My mother was a teacher, so that was a big inspiration for me, and I took it up very beautifully. And I worked in a school where my mother's friends used to teach initially. So I didn't feel awkward, and it was a pleasant journey. I was inducted very well into the school as well. And
Ma'am, which was your
moving,
first school? Which was your first school
my first
and
school
where?
was, I'll tell you, I did my BEd from Ambala city, and there itself I joined the Army Public School, Ambala Can, and where I taught for 1 year. And post that, I got married, and then I moved with my husband to Dera Baba Nanak. And that's how I taught in different stations, different uh, each and every school was different convents, and then regimental primary schools. I started one pre-primary section in Bangalore for our unit Jawan students, because they could not understand Kannada language. So my CO's wife told me that, we must start a pre-primary school for the children in the unit itself, because they only understand either Kumauni or Hindi, or they don't understand English. So that was my first experience after marriage. My own daughter was only 6 months old when I took up that project with my unit officers ladies. So that gave me a lot of confidence, and I just went with the flow. I was a teacher for almost 2 decades. And in my previous school, I was handling a lot of responsibilities as an admin, as the head of the science department. And when this opportunity knocked at my door, I took it deliberately, because my children had grown up and they were all settled in their jobs. So I felt that I could, give that much time to the leadership, because that requires lot of time, because you have to leave your family one side, and because you're looking after thousands of students and teachers. That's how my journey has been, and it's really been beautiful. And
Amazing.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I had seen so many principals. They have an army background. Their husband or their parents have a background of army background. That's great, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming, ma'am. Again, next eminent guest we have is Anubha Shrivastava, ma'am. She is the principal of Delhi International School H, Delhi. Welcome, ma'am. Ma'am, we'd like to know from you also that you came into this profession by chance or by choice, and how did your journey start as an educationist, and how did you rose to this level as a principal of such a prestigious institution?
Thank you so much. I always take pride in saying I'm in this profession by choice and not by chance. I come from a family of educationists. So I saw teachers and professors and scientists all around me, right from my childhood. And possibly that rubbed onto my genes, and I was always fascinated by my teachers in the classroom. There were teachers who inspired me to love children and give to the children that I have been getting from them. I can recall teachers with their names distinctly, with their faces, right from my primary years. I changed school every year with my father's posting, but I recall so many of them. So in my graduation, when I was toying between whether to join the scientific fraternity as a research student or to join the community as a teacher, I fortunately got a break in both the areas. I had briefly been in Netaji Subhash Institute of Technology in the research wing in biotechnology department. And I have also taught school. And I realized that I am not fascinated as much by research, and school is my calling. So I joined back school, and then there was no looking back. Having taught across all grades, primary years, middle years, majorly secondary, senior secondary. And
And then before this, you were in Kerala also, no, I think?
No, I've never been in Kerala. I have throughout.
Before this one.
My teaching career has been majorly in UP and Delhi, majorly in Delhi.
Right. And thank you so much, ma'am, and welcome, ma'am. Next eminent guest we have is Preeti Sangwan, ma'am. She is the principal of a very famous school in Noida, Cambridge School. We welcome you, ma'am. And finally, you are here. Thank you so much for coming, ma'am. Please let us know about yourself. People will like to know that how you have come into this profession. And many people might see many things which we come to know. On this platform, the teachers and the principals and other people, the students, that about their favorite teacher, favorite principal, because you all had been teacher also, and we are still a teacher also. Yet how you have come into this, situation as an educator, as an administrator, as a principal. So Preeti ma'am, again, we'll also like to know from you, came into this by chance or by choice, and how did you start your career and reached over here in this school as Cambridge School principal?
So, yeah. First of all, thank you so much, Mr. Chandhok. And once again, good evening, everybody. So, I'm from commerce background. When I took up commerce in grade 11, so that time I never planned to become a teacher. Then I became cost accountant and I worked in non-banking financial company. So, I worked in merchant banking division for almost 3 years. After that, I realized, the kind of job satisfaction I should be getting, I wasn't getting it. My sister, she was working as a professor in All India Institute of Medical Science. So she's a professor of anatomy. So perhaps I guess she influenced me. And this is how I thought, okay, let me also join. Let me try, this profession. So my teaching career started from Gurgaon, from a school called Chiranjeev Bharati School. So it was under management of Answers Group. I worked there for more than 14 years. I was lucky enough that I worked under very able principals who gave me extreme freedom to do what I wish to do. I remember almost 8-9 years back, that time the words like experiential learning or project-based learning are not very famous. So that time my then principal, she told me that whatever you wish to do for commerce students, just collaborate with National Council of Cooperative Union, collaborate with BSc, just start working on the project, which will bring, hands-on learning experience for the children. So I, along with my team and along with my children, were quite successful in carrying out those projects. That gave me the confidence that yes, now I should, try to influence a larger group. So from Gurgaon School, I moved to residential school of Jindals. Vidya Devi Jindal School is a girls' residential school in Hisar. So I had a very short stint over there. But it was a great learning experience. There I learned that, children, they learn on their own. In a residential school, like 24/7, you are not teaching them. They are learning from each other. They are learning from their solitude. And learning is not just confined to the classroom of physics, math, science, or English. Learning for life is something really very different, which a child who studies in residential school, learns very quickly. From Vidya Devi Jindal, I moved to Pune. There I joined the school called Trinity International School. So it was a new school. So the environment of Trinity was more or less like a startup. Again, not too many structures, great ideas were welcome. Maybe to some extent slightly chaotic, but I guess in order to ensure a good base of work and in order to encourage new ideas, a little bit chaos is very much needed. And after that, I landed up in a very old school, Cambridge School, Noida. So this is a completely different experience.
Amazing, ma'am. And thank God someone from commerce came back, because I'm also I've been a commerce teacher.
Okay.
So
Right.
always seen that English teachers, teachers from English, or lastly, economics teacher, not more than that. So I got someone from the commerce background. I was an accountancy and still an accountancy teacher. And
Right.
today I got an application from grade 12 who have moved from class 11 to 12. It was a request from all the class that you do please come to the class and teach us, sir. I mean, you feel so proud of that. Once or twice I went to the class last year, and they were so happy about my teaching as accountancy. So they said that although the teacher is also very good, but they said, sir, there was a request and a whole page written application by all the students that, sir, please come to our class and teach us. So this is what you earn from your whatever you are doing, that the children learn you and they respect you, and they, they regard you after so many years. Also, we have seen students, they are regarding us after 20 years of teaching or 25 years of teaching, they're recognizing you. So as Jaswindra sir always says, that that subject teacher, which is very good, the teacher, they love the teacher and they love the subject also. So that is Jaswindra sir always says in his sessions when he comes up to us. It is rightly said, when the teacher is very good, they will love the teacher also, as well as they love the subject also. I thank you so much, ma'am, for sparing your time and coming. Next, we have Neeta Das, ma'am. She is the principal of Saluja Gold International School, Girit, Jharkhand. Welcome, ma'am, and welcome once again after such a long time. We'll come straight away to you, ma'am. Please let us know you came into this profession by chance or by choice, and where did you started your career and came as a principal of Saluja Gold International School?
Thank you, Chandok sir, and good evening once again to all the eminent guests here. Right, I came to this profession by choice, and I come from a very humble background, and I hail from Orissa. I started my teaching career because I was very much fascinated by my teachers when I was at school. So few of my teachers were very much inspirational, and in fact, they inspired me to be the teacher when I grow up. So I started my career as a computer teacher. And thereafter, it was one of the convent school in Rourkela, St. Joseph's Convent School. And from there, I moved on to be the headmistress at St. Xavier's High School, Bilaspur. It's in Chhattisgarh. So after that, I moved into to work as an academic coordinator, or you can say even headmistress at Radcliffe School. So from there, I again moved into to work as an academic headmistress or academic head in a corporate. So I worked in corporate also. It's a Mangaluru-based education management company. There I got a wide scope of working in 7 school projects as an academic head. So there I developed the curriculum for the schools that was under my supervision. I monitored the teaching methodology that was going on. I had a recruitment of the process. I was involved in the recruitment process. I even mentored the teachers and principals at times. From there, I moved to Hardoi. It's in Uttar Pradesh. And as Preeti Sangwan ma'am, I also worked in Cambridge School, Hardoi. So it was for a short span of time, ma'am. I worked there as a principal. From there, I moved into Ujjain. So I worked with Lakshya International School as a principal. Again, these all were the senior secondary schools. And now at present, I am working as a principal in senior secondary school named Saluja Gold International School, Giridih, Jharkhand. So according to me, ma'am and sir, of course, teaching is a noble profession, and I love teaching. I love the children and I love their innocence. That's why I came into this profession by choice. And I'm still working as a principal, but at times we have to work as a teacher, as a student also. Like many a times students teach us. When we go to school classes, when we go to the classes, we come to know many things from the children also. many a times which we actually do not know. They teach us. So it's a beautiful journey of teaching and learning. And it's like I'm really lucky to be here as a principal.
Thank you so much, welcome, ma'am. Next eminent guest we have from my own city, Kanpur, Ruchi Seth, ma'am. She is the principal of a very prestigious institution, Ellen House Public School, Kalashi Line. They have so many branches. So she is the principal of the biggest school, which is running in the name of Ellen Public House. Welcome, ma'am, Ruchi, ma'am. Thank you so much for coming. Ma'am, please let us know, everybody know about yourself, because your profile is also very versatile. You had been in the corporate sector also, you had been in the schools also, you had been everywhere. So please let us know, how did you came into this profession, by chance or by choice, how you started, and you landed up to be the principal of this prestigious institution in Kanpur.
Thank you, Mr. Chandhok. And I think so many times we've been discussing about appearing on your show. So finally it happened and we could be here together. Thank you so much. And I'm actually feeling elated to be here with all these experienced ladies, you and Jaswinder sir. I'm sure it is going to be very interesting. As far as my journey goes, yes, I don't know how to call it by chance or by choice. I have been somehow associated within the field of education. Though I started my journey with the corporate sector, but at the same time, I was into computer education, training placement cells, heading the marketing division, and then landed into language lab training for the children. And somebody spotted one of the principals where I was working earlier. He spotted and he said that you are a perfect teaching material. So instead of being freelancers, why don't you come and teach the students in the classes and share your knowledge? So there was a turning point. That is what I always say. I meet people again coming from backgrounds who are BTechs and MTechs and they're switching over to teaching line. I always share this experience. And when this was spotted out, I immediately agreed, yeah, why not? Let me start. Of course, English being my subject, doing masters in English literature, then BA, of course, I started my journey in education field through schools now. After working in an ICSE school, being a coordinator for English, I was also a freelancer, writing for magazines and newsletters in the city of Kanpur itself, and being editor. So I thought that English would be the best thing that I could be for judging the events as well. And then gradually I landed up at Allen House Public School, Kalashi Line. And when I was given this opportunity to head the school, this was a CBSE school, which was definitely a challenging affair for me, coming from an ICSE background and even teaching. So thank you. And when I see individuals in front of me, I just, love that. I'm so compassionate about, sharing my experiences, helping them grow. And my personal determination is to raise or to make every child very, very capable. That he is able to fight the global scenarios of the world today and become a very, very capable individual, and they become all victorious in the fields that they choose. So I love to be with the youngsters around me and give them whatever I can. Obviously, as God has given us the privileges, our parents have given us good education, and my aim is to impart and share the same with every child who's in front of me. So that is my journey, and I pray to God that I continue with the same rigor, wisdom, and zeal. Thank you so much.
Amazing, ma'am. Amazing, ma'am. Thank you so much. Your colleagues, your teachers the parallel principals who are working in other schools, they might not be knowing about you. Now the whole world be knowing about you, that how have you reached. You have worked around 3 decades in this education field somewhere, and how did you rose up to this position as a principal of such a prestigious institution in Kanpur. Thank you so much, ma'am, and welcome, ma'am. Next, we have a very wonderful personality who is not only all over India, who is famous all over the world also. His name is Jaswinder Singh, sir. He is the ex-founder director of DesignMate, which is now Reliance Group company. He is the MD and CEO of Wordsworth English Language Lab. He has an experience of 32 years or more than 32 years now in education field and successfully run two edtech companies. He has worked as a consultant to the government of Bahrain through UNESCO, advised the government on the use of ICT in education, passionate edtech leader. Wordsworth Lab is being used by over 1 million students annually through more than 3,000 plus schools and colleges. He has launched the world's first Sanskrit language lab, also developed lab in Hindi. He is based out in Ahmedabad and Gujarat. Let me tell you about Sir that we were co-speakers in one of the program, and when I came to know about his Wordsworth Lab, so I talked about him. What is this actually? So when I got into the depth of the the content that what lab is all about and how this language learning is so important. So I requested him that sir come up for a few episodes and enlighten us, the educationists, the administrators, about the importance of this language learning, and which we'll be discussing as an expert. But first of all, Jaswinder sir, welcome, and we will like to know, everybody who's present over here would like to know that how it came into a mind to start up such a wonderful lab, in which you have come up with so many languages as of now, English also, Hindi also, Sanskrit also, and now coming up with French and regional languages. How did it came into your mind, sir? How you started that? And sir, tell something about the Wordsworth Lab also to this. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Chandhok, sir, and good evening, all the ladies principals. A pleasure to be a part of this panel here. My coming into this field was a chance. I'm actually from the IT field. Even Ruchi ma'am did talk about that. Mrs. Das also said that they are from the IT field. I too, started working. I had my own IT training company, and we happened to get projects with government of Gujarat, being in Gujarat, and we were given the project to train all the employees of the government of Gujarat, and that happened to be around 50,000 people that we were supposed to train, and we were doing that. That's the time when our Honorable Prime Minister today, Modi sir, he was the then Chief Minister of Gujarat. And that time he came up with the project. He said, I want to train 100,000 young people on language skills, because Gujarat did not have good language skills, especially when it comes to English. So we were very excited. He said, no tender, nothing, come and do it, and you're given the work. So it was actually given to 3 companies. So we were very, very excited. He said, I'll give you the space, I'll give you students, I'll give you infrastructure, I'll give you everything. Come with your teachers and come doing this, start doing this. We went on to the project. We were very happy, but he said one last thing, end of the meeting. He said, for every 1 center that you set up in urban Gujarat, you have to set up 2 centers in rural Gujarat. And that's where the problem is. We went on to the rural part of the state of Gujarat. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the right kind of teachers. That's where we started working on, thought, okay, let's create content, because I was already a part of a company known as DesignMate, where we designed, we came up with the world's first 3D, 4D, and 5D animated content, which actually Edicom was used to use. It was not theirs. It was designed by us. So I said, okay, let's get onto this. And we created software. We created content which actually a normal teacher could use, and that normal teacher could actually deliver better. So that's how we came into this, vertical of getting into language training. That's the whole thing. But that's where we realized language acquisition is not something that you do when you are doing your graduation. It should be done when you're in school. The younger you are, the better language skills you can acquire. And that's where we started. And our first lab that we put up was in a small town by the name of Halol, which had the factory for General Motors. And from there, these students were from a Gujarati medium school, and they come to Lucknow and attend that QCI, Quality Circle India or something, where, the City Montessori school used to host them. And they would always, lag because of not having good language skills. We started working on with them in 6 months. They were good results. And then we said, okay, this can work. And that's how the journey of coming up into language. So, the requirement made us do it. It was the need that made me come into this language. Otherwise, I'm not a language person. I actually come from the IT background. But when I got into this, I realized language is such a beautiful thing. It's music. If you acquire language properly, it can do wonders to you. It can make you a very calm person if you speak proper language. Any language that you acquire properly, you become more disciplined, you become more soft And there is nothing like soft skills. If you acquire any language properly, your soft skills become good. So that's what inspired me, and that's what we've been doing. And I'm lucky to get onto an area where we are among the top language companies in the country. I have one of my customer, Anubha ma'am, here with me. So we worked with their school the last 2 years. So this is my story of journey of getting into it. Though I got pushed into language, but I'm so happy. I don't want to do any coding. I just want to get into research, see how pedagogically we could make language learning more interesting, more lovable. I don't think they have to put in efforts. You make them love a language, and then you don't have to teach. They'll get it by themselves. So that's the story of me getting into this industry. Thank you.
This industry also, you're there from last 15 years.
Yeah, 15 years and 3,000 plus. Yes. So, you can't create things overnight. You can't, you need a minimum a decade to actually create something which matters. Because the first thing that you create is not always the best. Anything and everything that you develop, when it's a product, it has to go through a lot of changes. So that's how. And I think 15 years is like young. I think 50 more years we should go.
Obviously, sir. Thank you so much, sir. And thank you so much for coming on our request to the show. Thank you so much,
Thank
sir.
you.
We'll come up to the next round. Actually, I won't call it as a question round. It is a opinion round. We'll come up to Sarita ma'am first. Ma'am, we want to know from you that what is the significance of language learning, which one feels proud of?
Hello. This is a very interesting question because language is such a vital part of the human communication and connection. And the significance of language cannot be overruled because it is really, really very, very necessary to understand each other, to understand each other ideas and the cultures of different people. So I think that the learning language also provides us many benefits, including the greater academic achievements, greater cognitive development, and more positive attitudes towards other languages and cultures as well. And to understand other people, other cultures, languages, the most important tool. Also, language learning is a central part of our curriculum because it develops many skill sets in the students. And why we should learn the language? Learning language improves enhanced problem solving skills, improves the verbal and the spatial abilities of the students. It improves their memory functions and their creative thinking capacity, and it makes them more flexible in their creative thinking, improved attitudes towards of course, the language and the culture of the different people. And now the globalization, we need to know more than one language actually. We need to have the focus on the mother tongue, but then we need to know more languages so that we can understand other people as well. And reading, listening, these are all part of the languages only. And these are the basic skills that the students need to learn. And as human beings, we also need to know about this. I also would like to reiterate the significance of this is that the outcome of the language learning is these emotions, that one can relate one's emotions to the others by learning the languages. And well-being is an aim, an outcome, and contributor to the learning language process, and it can facilitate personal growth and social transformation in people. And possible mediation and moderation processes, as well as the reciprocal links among institutional factors, learner characteristics, their emotions, cognition, motivation, and well-being. All these are in line with the goal of positive language education. So educators must explicitly aim to combine the acquisition of linguistic skills with the promotion of well-being in the classroom and the school as well. And we use so many innovative and instructional designs for our children to learn language in the school. I have taught in schools where the students used to have 4 languages: English, Hindi, Marathi, being a Marathi state, and Punjabi being a Punjabi school, or minority school. So from the very early age, the children used to be learning 4 languages, and they were, it was not a difficult task for them. So I feel that, it promotes their positive emotions, and they are students are very proficient in learning languages, and its significance also is seen that, as Jaswinder Singh ji said, that it's like a music, the learning the language, and people just flow with it when they learn a language, and it facilitates their psychological development also. So human flourishing is only achieved through enhancing each and every aspect of positive emotion, engagement, meaning, positive relationships that can be built, and accomplishments. And individuals in such a state, they thrive and they feel vital and prosperous at the individual as well as the institutional levels. And
Right.
therefore, learning languages is really, really of very, very
Important.
significant.
Right, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much, ma'am.
much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Anubha, ma'am. Anubha, ma'am, your views on the same topic, the significance of learning language, which one should feel proud of.
I have such an eminent spread of dignitaries in front of me. And we have just witnessed all of us beautifully expressing the emotions, the ideas, the thoughts. And suddenly I feel I want to express that. Now that is the difference, and that is the beauty of language learning. If I have the grasp on language, I will not get stuck at what I want to say. And I'll be flowing my words as beautifully as a poetry, the way Jaswinder ji said that he's in love with the languages now. And I will not just restrict it to the beauty of expression. When I know what I have to say and I'm able to express it, it brings in confidence in me. I'll quote a little example. I must be in grade 5 or 6. And out of the many lakes in the Naini area, there's one lake, Nokuchiatal. I'm sure everyone must have heard of that name. So there was a tourist group with us, and somebody asked, what is a Nokuchiatal and what is the significance of this name? My grandfather was very fond of playing word games with us. So fortunately, as kids, we have grown playing. He used to check our letters written to him, and he would circle the words, and he would want us to find synonyms, expand our vocabulary. And I knew that a Nokuchia 9 angles is an anagon. I could translate it for the tourist. That was an instant pride for me as a young primary child. But that also adds to my knowledge level when I'm learning different words, my connect with different peoples around me. And I just picked one example. It was a matter of chance that at that age I knew nanogram, because coincidentally we were doing shapes with grandpa, and we were playing certain games, and we were searching the meanings on the dictionary. That time we didn't have Google in our hands. So yes, it instills confidence. It increases our outreach. It brings in lots of flexibility. It helps me with immediate, quick decisions. So we can continue picking so many aspects of language learning. And when I translate it to the application world, which the NEP 2020 and the new pedagogy in CBSE is also talking of, whatever we are doing should be adding to life skills that are important. So can we imagine a radio jockey who's not having a rich language, no matter what language the person is using? Can we imagine a script writer not being aware of the linguistic richness and connection of the language with the culture or the era that is being depicted? Can we imagine a newspaper journalist not being rich in language to portray the incident that has happened in its verbatim imagery? Blending the life skills with the language becomes very important aspect of realizing what is the significance of language. And when I can do it, that's a pride. I can narrate a story beautifully. Donna had become a storyteller. I can juggle with the words and pen down a poetry. And no matter which area I'm excelling in, I am adding to one form of expression. I am adding to one strand of being able to connect with the world. And when I'm doing that, within myself, there is an inspiration to grow more in that field. We have with us Ruchi ma'am, who has transcended from corporate into school teaching. And Ruchi ma'am, correct me if I'm not wrong here. This would not have been possible without the command over language and the flexibility that the language has extended to you.
True, absolutely.
I think wherever we pick around around ourselves, we'll have multitudes of examples telling us the significance of practical application of language and the pride that the language learning brings to us. Not to forget the pleasure that it gives and the serenity that it brings.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. You have such a wonderful experience and you told something good about. And of course, you are using a language lab. Also, we'll come to you again and ask you how you're feeling up, how your students have improved, and teachers also have improved with the use of the language lab. But we'll come up to the next question with Preeti ma'am. Preeti ma'am, we have seen that the schools are running after the subjects, the students, the parents, the teachers, management, after the chapters, after the subjects, that they should get more about it. But they are not talking about the basic. They are not laying stress on the the root cause of all the subject, that is language learning. So what we believe is, or what we believe is that language learning is the base, which is more important, because when language learning is good, the subjects will also be good. So do you feel that more importance should be given to language learning in the curriculum?
Yes, absolutely right, Mr. Chandok. It's not only more importance should be given to language learning. Language learning is the foundation. And on this foundation, the learning of other subject is based. I connect language learning with human evolution. Human evolution is possible because of language. Because the language we use, or language has infinite capacity to express the ideas which are not even existing. So when we talk about the creativity quotient, so yes, creativity quotient is possible because of the language. If we, if I try to draw an analogy between how the communication happens in the animal world and, amongst human. So animals, they have very limited, their communication is very repetitive in nature, very automatic, basically based on emotion, which does not create new meaning. Whereas the way humans, we communicate, that's because of language. We have the ability to create new meanings, new mysteries. As I said, yes, it is the basic foundation which is required for any subject learning. Number one, to understand the secret of this world, or to understand any phenomena, what is needed? Proficiency in language. The struggle of the child will be reduced drastically if a child has a good command for a language, or has a decent, understanding of the language. Morning, I'm just going through a few reports. So one of the report of UNESCO, it says countries which are underdeveloped or which are developing country, there the learning gap is happening because 37% of children, they are learning or they are taught in a language which they don't understand. Right? So just think about a school in a remote India where a teacher, say in grade 1 or grade 2, is talking about bird, where the child is not aware of this word bird. So the child's struggle is, okay, bird, how do I pronounce it? So wings, tails, and all that, rather than, okay, that yes, understanding, okay, how exactly, or generating a curiosity, how exactly a bird flies, why I cannot fly. Okay, so if We are teaching in a language which a child don't understand, then the struggle becomes the language itself. So here I'm connecting with the issue which is raised by NEP, that yes, especially in the initial, in the elementary stage, the learning, should be encouraged through mother tongue. At the same time, as Anupa and Mr. Singh and Sarita ma'am, they mentioned, sorry, my battery is running. Uh, yes, gaining proficiency or gaining mastery is very much important to learn the other subject. Here I feel, approaches like or methodologies like storytelling or increasing the talk time of students in the classroom or project-based learning, right? These pedagogies are really helpful in, ensuring that the children, they should gain mastery in expressing the subject which they're learning. For example, if a project is, children, they have prepared some data or has collected some data and they have represented through, say, bar chart, how exactly to communicate the analysis or interpretation, okay, or suggestion, what is depicted by the bar chart, or it what requires? It requires proficiency in the language. Same goes for, we can, quote umpteen examples from any subject, physics, bio, or any other subject. So that's why language is the foundation based on which learning of the other subject can be built.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much, ma'am. You are absolutely right. We'll come up to Ruchi ma'am now. Ruchi ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, we'll also like to know from you that should in curriculum, the language learning should be given importance.
Oh, yes. As just now we were all discussing that, and we have Mr. Jaswinder Singh, who's from a company which is named as Words. I think we all understand that without words, no communication can happen. And if we are talking of the importance of language, nothing, in fact, no understanding, no expression, no creative ideas can actually flow if the language is not in place. Just now, as ma'am was just talking about, that if the child doesn't understand the word, the bird itself, then it's a struggle for him or her to begin from understanding what is a bird. Imagine now when new education policy itself is emphasizing on multilingualism and the power of language, which we all understand, and is focusing on foundation of literacy and numeracy. So these are the things which we all understand as educationists, that these are the foundations as a child to understand and grow. When we talk of language, it is a constituent of higher order thinking skills, and it's a necessary precondition of successful content learning. So which in the 21st century, knowing a second language is not only beneficial, but necessary for success in life. Now, as teachers or as part of curriculum, if we are not building it or embedding it in our daily study or in the daily pedagogy, then how will children grow and how will the expansion of vocabulary happen? So to make them versatile, to make them understand their subject, to make them express themselves rightfully, it is very, very important that we conduct the classes and we inbuild and plan our curriculum as per the sessions or the lesson plans that we inbuild in our classes. So obviously, we cannot even think of inculcating this factor of numeracy and literacy if the language is not in place or not inbuilt properly in the curriculum, as to say. So obviously, as you have said, for me, this is, I mean, the ultimate thing. And I think for all educationists, as we are talking, that it has to be the part of curriculum. And since now the language labs and all are also in vogue, I think it plays a wonderful role for students to actually grasp the second language or the foreign language because we are in a global scenario. And when we see this, we understand that we are more frequently, coming in contact with each other from people across the nation. Then understanding of second language and foreign language is of course imperative. We cannot say that it's a fashion or something that we need to do it because others are doing it. When we want our children to grow, work in the outside countries, or we are setting corporate centers or call centers here in India. So even it is imperative that we have good understanding of the foreign languages. So anything, even I emphasize because sometime I began, teaching students through language lab. So I understand the importance of this language lab. And yes, as somebody said, with good communication skills, strong communication skills, you always have edge over others. Like I could transcend from corporate sector to education. So obviously, I'm very thankful for the skill of mine that communication always gives an edge. So when I said I believe in empowering children with this language. So I think thank you, Mr. Chandok, for having me for this session, which I can relate to from the core of my heart. So it's really imperative to strengthen language in the curriculum, and we must empower the children with power of words we say. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My pleasure is mine. Uh, of course, because you have worked in this profession and you've worked with, the worth why these type of language. Because I had been seeing, ma'am, because two things I have noticed, which the people in schools, they do not take care of, which is a very sorrowful thing. First thing is the handwriting. You might have seen your students, some few of the students of your grade 12, they don't know how to, handle the pen, how to hold the pen, how to write. People do not lay stress on that. Parents, they are after spending lakh of rupees, crores of rupees on their education, but they never work on that they should have in the beginning of their education, just have a handwriting expert who may tell him how to hold the pen. And sorrowfully, it is not looking into the classes also during their, the starting journey of their education. At the very same time, the people are not looking after, this language learning, because you might have also noticed and might be having few students in your school also who get writers in the examination because they know that, but they're not able to jot down because of the deficiency of language learning. So this is very important. All the students are equal. They have equal mind. They are able to handle the gadgets very properly, but they're not able to handle their subjects just because the language learning, the base root is not taken care of. That is why we requested, sir, also, and we took up this topic for a season, that language learning is so important that people should understand that it is very important. And who knows better than you, because you had been into the same, trend and line also, that way the worth of language learning. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Neeta ma'am now. Neeta ma'am, we will like to know your views because you have seen during the pandemic in 2 years, the technology, the only positive thing we had was the technology. The technology would had to come 10 years after came right now. And while taking the online classes also, people have seen that, the children have, closed their camera and they're moving throughout the home. So now when the parents are saying, why not listen to the teacher? The YouTube channels, there are n number of teachers who can teach us. So in precise, we can say that the teachers have to become smart, because the children are more smarter. So if the children are smart, you have to become more smarter. So what are your views on this?
Yes, thank you, Chandok sir, for putting in this beautiful question. Definitely, as you said, teachers have to be more smarter than the children, because children these days have learned many more things, which the teacher of art, when we were students, our teachers used to teach many limited things, and that was all traditional. But these days, teachers have to be smarter, otherwise children will outreach them. So what I would suggest in this regard is, Mr. Chandok, that the teachers have to first understand how to have the classroom management. That is, classroom management is very, very important. Like when the teacher comes to the school class, and what should be the, the starting phase, how the teacher should start the classroom, how the teacher should first take up the recap of the previous chapter that she has taught the previous day, how she should start the topic, how she should handle the children, how the children should be, there should be one-on-one interaction, two-way interaction, like teachers when they're teaching, children should also respond. That is very, very important, because when we were students, it was always a passive, we were the passive listeners. We were never allowed to speak, and it was always the teachers who used to speak in front of us. So that is where the teachers have to change, and the teachers have to take this position where the students and teachers equally participate. Second thing is about teachers, students, and the teachers, parents' participation. That has to be equally synchronized, because many a times we see that parents have a lot of problems, lot of concerns, but teachers just shut them up by saying that you come to PTM and we'll explain you everything. But why not like on daily basis? If the parent is having concern, there can be always a conversation over the phone, and the teacher can just resolve the problem, or maybe she can meet the concern, and she can equally justify what is the concern and how she can tell the answer. That is one thing. And next thing is like the classroom etiquettes. That is very, very important, as my guests and my friends have already told about language, the importance of language. So what kind of languages should be used by the children, and what should be the control of the teacher over the children when they are using some slang language in the classroom? So that also has to be checked. So these all few things are very, very important for the teachers to handle the children. Now, teachers these days are only focused on, a few of the teachers are really good, and they focus on multiple intelligence and new education policy and 21st century learning, where they give projects, and where they use experiential learning, where they use digital learning. They use technology as a part of teaching learning process. So these all things, when they come into place, when they come into the teaching learning process, then teachers become more effective. And of course, one more very effective way of teaching is flipped classrooms, where the teachers give a chance to the children to take the position of a teacher and teach the class. So that can be also very, very useful for the children to adopt the learning. So these are few ways wherein the teacher become more effective, and they become smarter than the children, and
So,
they are
ma'am,
more effective. Yes, sir.
so ma'am, what you want to say in precise in one or two lines is that it should be a child-oriented class, not a teacher-oriented class.
It should be
Teachers,
definitely a child-oriented class where children are given more importance, where
yeah,
children are
yes.
given, yes, space to put in their thoughts, where children are given the space to put in their queries, and the equally, answered by the teachers.
Yes, ma'am. Yes. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Jaswinder sir. Jaswinder sir, it's a very beautiful topic we can talk about throughout the day. So, but coming up to you, sir, first of all, you as an expert, you have heard all the eminent guests in the first round. Your views on that, and then please let us know about your app, how it is, helping the teachers and the students. Is that eliminating the teachers, or it is helping the teachers, helping the student through the teachers? Please let us know about that.
Thank you.
First your views, sir.
Thank you, Chandok sir. I'll start with what Preeti Sangwan ma'am just said. Ma'am, you just picked up a point and a topic. You said that it should be this way, that you give them a chart, you give them maybe a graph, and tell them to explain what it is. Ma'am, in fact, CBSE has now in the 10th standard come up with topics like writing an analytical paragraph. Okay, that's exactly what is important, because in today's world, when you go out, if a person is going out to do a job or even for an interview, they give them a chart and tell me, okay, you tell me, explain, express, write what you can write. And if they can read out what is hidden in those numbers and the flows and the patterns, that is what is important. And that is what all languages are about. It is not mathematics, it is not geography, it is not maps, it is not graphs, it is what you make out of that and you express. That's exactly what we have to be talking about. Is language does not mean just pronunciation. Language actually means expressing from one point and taking it to the other point. Something in a different form, expressed in a form which is understandable by everybody. So that's what we need to work on. So that's a very, very strong point that you picked up, ma'am, and that's so nice. Coming on to the thing, one of the other principles he said that, multilingualism, very, very important. In fact, when NEP 2020 says we are talking about the three language formula, why? We understand that the initial foundation years, if your core subjects, mathematics and science, are taught in their own language, it is good they will understand. The example of bird was apt. If I don't know what a bird, what am I going to know what she's talking about when she's a bird? So yes, introducing the initial concepts within the local language or the mother tongue is a very, very important thing. But that does not mean that the foreign language, which we call English, which is not a foreign language for us Indians, for us it's a second language, that language is as important as the local language. So all these languages, we should start right at the beginning. They should not be taught at different age levels, because by the time the child turns 8, they can acquire up to 5 languages. And that is very, very simple. They can actually do that. In fact, it is said, there's a research which says that if a child speaks 3 or more languages, the brain works better, the neurons work better, the cognitive skills improve. So it is very important that we see to it that our students, the students of today, actually acquire 3 or more languages. So that's an important part that we talk about it. We did talk about expression. I will add one more point here. When we know more languages, we become a better place to live in. Look at India, look at other countries. We have so many languages, but still we live in harmony. There are countries which have got one language, they still can't live, and they fight amongst themselves, taking that language as a point of, getting into those troubles. This happens because in India, we respect the other's language. No language is big or small. No language is important and not important. No language is superior or inferior. If I want to reach out to somebody, and if I can start with, by greeting them in that language, my connect is made. So languages are actually for connect. Communication is connecting. So whatever language we use, we should always try to acquire as many languages as we can, use it to whatever, length that we can, and connect with people. And when we connect, that is what is very important, that we connect with everybody and get onto that. Very important that we teach our children, we teach our kids to respect the other language, and it will be a beautiful word to say. So language is everything. Language is life. Language is oxygen for humans to stay together. So that is what I will say when I want to sum up about languages. And rightly said, in our NEP 2020, when we are talking about getting the cultural language also. So maybe in the north of India, they're going to have Sanskrit. In the south of India, they may get into something, though, because Tamil is the oldest language in the world, right? But getting to know our cultural language, getting to know all that is hidden within those scriptures that we've not even seen. That's important. Getting to know our culture, getting to know our heritage. It is said that Indians do not know much about our culture, though we brag a lot about our culture. We don't even know 1% of our culture because we've not got exposed to the language. If we are exposed to the cultural language, we will get to know such a lot that we've been such an inferior race. We've done what not. And India is there to be the Vishwa Guru. Why? Because through our languages, through this knowledge bank, if we go and get into that, God knows what we'll be able to do. And we want to do it to the right way. Not that if we become powerful, we bully others. If we become powerful, we support others. Look at what our country is doing to Nepal. Look at what our country is doing to Sri Lanka. This is all because our culture gets hurt. So language should not only to reach heights, it is also to become a more humane person. Because a human is a human because of language. From Homo sapien to human, the only distance was language. Because we had a language, we became from Homo sapiens to human. So that's what I would want to get onto that. Now, getting onto the language learning solutions, the lab and all that, it is not to replace. You cannot replace a teacher, especially when it comes to language, because we are talking about language as a skill, not as knowledge. We're not talking about literature or poems. We're talking about skill, and you cannot acquire a skill without a guru. So teachers always say, all that a language solution or a language app or a language lab can do is to support a teacher to deliver better. It supports a teacher. What happens? Communication, let me give you an example. We have got 40 minutes and 40 students. That means 1 minute for each child. But if you use a language solution, what you can do is you can make one teacher into 40 teachers and connect with all 40 at the same time. Someone said there should be talking time, right? For students, because it's only the teacher who communicates. It's only one way communicating. But when you have a solution where one teacher can become 40 teachers and then 40 teachers talk to 40 students. So each child has a mentor, has a guru, has a teacher with them. So that's what a language solution works. One, the teacher communicates with everybody, makes them do role plays, communicate with each other, and when they go home or when they go to the lab, they sit in front of a computer and then connect with the computer as if there's a teacher on the backside. So all it does, it mirror images a teacher. It is not teaching them. It is making them feel that there's a teacher back there and teachers working with. So that's what solutions are all supposed to be. You take up any solution which has to work effectively, there has to be a human element. We as humans have a habit of being told what to do and we respond that way. And that's what a technology driven language solution works. So that is how I would like to sum it up, that a solution, an app is something which replicates a teacher, allows the learner to learn at any time, learn at his own pace, and learn without feeling guilty or without feeling that, what will people say if I make a mistake? Let them make mistakes. Right. If you fall, then and only you will get up. So that's what we talk about, an app, learning app.
Right, sir. I agree with you, sir, because now the students, they are worried that if you ask something inside the class, the other students will make fun of. So with that fear, they don't ask to the teacher. But when they have this tool, anytime in 24/7, they can come up to this tool, this type of app. And when they're feeling, so mindset should be there while studying. We also need mindset to when we are doing something. So when they want at 8 at night or 2 o'clock at night, they want to study, they can go up to that app and they can recover what are the deficiencies or the gaps they had during the class today. When they'll recover that and when they'll come into the class next day, that recovery will be done, and every student, there won't be 2 or 3 toppers inside the class. All the students will be a topper one with these type of tools. We were not having these tools in our time, but now the students, they have so much choices that they become the best, because we know that every child has the same level of mind, but these deficiencies which you are also talking about, that they are not able to talk into the class, they had missed the class, they were not able to ask to the teacher because others will make fun of me. These all gaps that can be bridged up with the apps like this, where the children can recover. Of course, the teacher role cannot be removed for sure. Thank you so much, sir. It's a very important topic. We are in shorter of time, but now it's a request to all the participants. Please make a very precise answer within 60 seconds, 1 minute, please. Coming up to Sarita ma'am, we would like to know your views that does technology helps in the improvement of language learning?
Yes, it's a very, very good question, very relevant in today's time. During the pandemic, the teachers have made a transition and acquired the skills to incorporate technology in their teaching. We cannot deny that fact. And incorporating the technology in the language learning, definitely yes. I am for it. Technology is very cool. Technology cannot replace the teachers, that's for sure. And I completely agree with Jaspinder Singh sir that teachers will be required even if technology is used. So the guidance that is to be given to the students, that has to be given through the teacher to use the technology. The goal of the modern education is to prepare the generation for the future. And modern classrooms, they require teachers who can teach their students how to use the technology. So believing in that, I would like to just add on a couple of points to this, that technology is very much part of the language learning throughout the world at all different levels. And digital technology are ideally placed to help teachers work with the students and help them to learn independently. It makes the language development possible so that the learners, the students, they can, with the help of other people, they can make the meaning together. Whenever I write or speak something, if I don't produce language with someone else in mind, I have no way of knowing whether others can understand what I'm trying to say or write. Of course, I need to read and listen as well, but unless I progress to this further stage, I cannot complete the process. So I feel that now in today's technological world, how the learning of language has helped, technology has helped us is also has helped to convert our speech to text. So we know the language we are speaking, and it gets converted into a word text. We can edit it. We can show our first draft to the teacher. We can re-edit it. We don't have to write it again and again. Using this technology nowadays, we are even able to translate from one language to the other in a fraction of seconds. For example, I am in Maharashtra, but I don't know Marathi. So I can translate the letter by first changing into a word text and then translating it into English and getting the gist of the letter that I have received. So that is the effect of the technology in language learning. I am also learning every day. It's not just about the students, even I am learning every day. So we can technology makes this much easier, and it is more likely that the students will also engage with editing the process and produce highest quality text that they can, and this writing can be displayed for others to look at and comment on. The benefits of technology in language learning is integrated with project work, because nowadays all the project students are banking on the technology, because during the pandemic times, teacher was only giving the instructions. She could not help the students physically.
So, ma'am, we can say that technology is of great help to the students
yes,
and make their learning more effective and more comfortable.
Yes, and it is indeed one of the most important tools that can be used synchronously and asynchronously to support the students' learning. It is used to improve all the important aspects of learning, such as writing, speaking, reading, spelling, etc. And it can bridge the gaps in understanding the key concepts by using visuals and images.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
We are in shortage of time, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry. Anubhav, I will come up to you again. A 1 minute answer, please. Importance of language. I mean, importance of technology in language learning.
Thank you, sir. Keeping it very brief, I'll just touch the key points. One aspect that has been covered by many is it breaks the time barrier and the space barriers. So it gives the access to the content anywhere, anytime, in the convenience of home or at school or while you are traveling. When my children used Wordsworth Lab, one thing that I experienced was they got the flexibility to learn in their own desired style of learning. Some were visual learners. The animations helped them to develop interest. Some were auditory learners. So the repetition of the phonic sounds, the correct pronunciations helped them. So they got the diverse spectrum of learning suiting to their individual needs. Ma'am shared a beautiful example that you can use the features like dictate. And these multiple features that the technology is aiding to language gives us the incorporation of equity, equality, and inclusion. It breaks the barriers of what one can do, what one can't do. And yes, it caters to the AI integrated technology platforms, which I also experienced in the language lab, which my children are using across all the languages, English, French, Sanskrit, and Hindi. It provided them the flexibility to learn at their own pace. So they could go to the next higher level, or they could come down to the preliminary level. Some of the features and the features as the world progresses, I foresee they're going to expand over and over again, not to replace a teacher, but to constantly supplement, improvise, and strengthen the teacher to handle the languages in the classroom and beyond.
So what you want to say, ma'am, is that with the use of labs like Wordsworth Lab you are already using, because you can judge it better, Sarto will say it is better, but when a person is using it, so it is like that. When a person is using it, when a school is using it, you can know much better about that. So do you feel that when you're using it, it is making a difference to the students and the teachers also?
It did. Not just Wordsworth, there were so many open platforms also which were available, and the children did explore. They explored Duolingo, many apps. And I did identify that since the generation is digitally friendly generation, they find more pleasure in learning when it is aided with technology. And that gives an edge to the learning that the children are doing, and it gives a diversity also. It helps the teacher cater to the multiple learning need of the students also. So
Right.
definitely technology going ahead is going to be the way of enhancing the learning proficiencies.
So that is improve the proficiency of the teachers as well as the students also.
Both ways.
That's great.
Yes,
That's great, Swinda sir. You have got full marks from the schools. Okay, we'll come up to Preeti ma'am. Preeti ma'am, every child has different potential. As we know, they get different marks inside the class. So how can the potential of these type of kids can be, taken out? That what are their potentials?
Okay. I'm so sorry. You have to give me just 1 second. Let me just take out my dog out of my room.
It's a pleasure to have him move, ma'am. It's such a nice thing. That's again a language component.
That is also language. That is he's trying to communicate through his own language.
It's time for him to walk out. Have it.
Walk out, right?
I'm
sir.
really sorry for this interruption.
It's
No,
okay.
ma'am. It was a pleasure, ma'am.
If I have understood your question correctly, Mr. Chandhok, you're talking about that how we can bring forth the human potential. Yes, perhaps this is the purpose of education. Okay, to bring forth the potential of each and every child, and this is the responsibility of every school. Right? So how to ensure this? Number one, see, trust, have strong faith in the ability of the children. Children by nature, they love to learn. Somehow, in the education system, we create this kind of a scene that we feel, okay, that the school or the system or the teachers, they're going to teach them. Right? So give a lot of freedom, encourage them, create an environment which is completely fearless. Because when we are afraid, when we are anxious, so suddenly we start thinking a very bad manner. And ultimately, what we need to ensure when the children they pass out from the school portal, they should be great thinkers. Okay, to ensure that yes, we are creating thinking individuals. So we need to create an environment. We should encourage curiosity. We should encourage independent thinking, confidence, courage. At yes, some point of time, I would say yes, when the child reaches to say upper primary level and especially in the middle school, that is the time when a school should identify, okay, yes, what are the key abilities of a child? For example, if a child is more inclined towards, say, has artistic inclination, or has more inclination towards subjects which involves logic like maths, physics, or science, and accordingly give exposure. So there is a book called Blink. So in that book, there is one chapter which says that yes, it all depends upon how many hours of exposure a child is getting or person is getting. So if you expose a child to a particular skill or a particular concept or subject, say for 1,000 hours, then certainly the child will develop great abilities or great skill and competence related to that subject. So my last suggestion, I know we are running short of time. Our schools are very structured. Our systems are very structured, wherein we define, okay, 40 minutes for this period and next 40 minutes for the another period. If we remove, some structure and give liberty to our children to learn on their own as well. For example, if children, if they are doing quite well, say in maths, let's say somebody has scored, great marks in maths and any other subject, give liberty to the child that in the next week, in a maths period, if you wish to go to say dance room, if you wish to go to computer lab, if you wish to go to music room, you're allowed to do so. This is how, the school and the system and children will come to know where exactly my interest lies. It's not only if I'm good at, say, English or maths that yes, this is what I am able to do. Perhaps a child is able to do many, many more things. Okay, for this, school has to create an environment. I'm a strong believer. Let's not have very, too many processes or too many structures in the system. That's from my side. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Ruchi ma'am now. Ruchi ma'am. Yeah, please.
Well, coming straight to the question, Mr. Chandhok, you said, how can we actually recognize the potential of each child? That is the question. So we all understand that each child is unique. And when we have a wide spectrum available in our schools and embedded in our curriculum itself, like in a school like ours, we have academics, then we have all scholastic and scholastic activities going on simultaneously. We have sports and sports academy as well running in the premises itself. We have animation, we have robotics, we have skills for life embedded there, fine arts and everything. So we understand one child could be good at music, the other child could be very good at sports. Now it is about how we understand and judge what the child would be very good at or what his or her flair is. All the kind of competitions that we organize, then we also have a system of, profiling a child in the beginning years. And every year this profile is transmitted from one teacher to the other, where the teacher understands the strengths of the child, the likings of the child, the areas where he needs improvement, or where he's showing the flair actually for. So all these platforms from time to time, we are giving them in school. And we have ample numbers of opportunities, as you know, Mr. Chandhok, that we organize this EduTees Literary Fest also, which is a 3 days consortium. And we have all these inbuilt activities running in the premises itself. So all these activities, in a way, help us to understand what the child is good at. And then we as teachers ensure that we give them platforms, either through special assemblies or through concerts or through events that we organize time and again, the quiz, the talk show like you're doing, the panel discussion, the Model United Nations, etc. All these together are actually helping us to know the strengths of the child. And like we say, we're teaching math, physics, chemistry, everything. We are giving them taste of everything. We are obviously not making them doctors and engineers in school. We are giving them a flavor of all the subjects together. And all schools are doing it. So I'm sure that I think we are the best people that we can identify that what X is good at and what Y is good at. And then the teacher forums to the child where this can be further chiseled and the potential can be unfolded and we can help the child to grow and polish them together. So I think these are the various ways. The question is the platforms, talking it out as we are talking about communication. I think that is the best form where we can identify what you're good at or what I'm good at. So all these things, the profile of the child, these things help us definitely to understand the strengths of the child and the likings and the hidden potential of the child.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. We'll come up to Nita, ma'am. Nita, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So we say that if the teachers do not become smarter than the students, then the role of the teacher will vanish. Within a minute, please tell us some suggestions to the teachers. How can they, be more improved? We can improve and become more smarter than the kids.
First and foremost, the teacher has to plan out their lessons as to what they are going to teach in the class. Because if they are not doing the prior planning, then the execution part will somehow lack. And then the classroom teaching would not be as effective as the teacher had thought of. Secondly, as my eminent guests have told, like children are different, they are different style learners. Some are auditory learners, some are visual learners, some are kinesthetic learners. So there are many more learners. So the teacher has to recognize the learners that they are in the class. So accordingly, the teacher has to take up the lessons. Many a times the teacher just goes with one teaching style and expects the children to learn properly and to do the work properly, which actually doesn't happen. And then the teacher loses the patience. So that is also very, very important, that the teacher has to have a lot of patience and to understand the children. She has to do the prior planning, prior lesson planning, and that's how the teacher will become more effective for the children.
Right, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Jacinda sir, will come up to you, your expert advice on all the speakers you have told in the second round. And let us know about how it came into your mind to start up Sanskrit Language Lab and how it works.
Okay, I would like to add one thing to what all the speakers have said. You know, to understand what a child should do, we just need to give our ears to them. We should listen to them. We should give them ample time to pour out, and they themselves will let us know what works for them and what doesn't work for them. So if I were to be a teacher, my first thing would be I would ask everybody to talk to me and everybody to talk to each other. Because talking to each other, one, it makes a very healthy relationship. Second, it makes communication very, very open and simple. So that's what I would do if I were to do that. Okay. Coming on to Sanskrit, even before NEP 2020, the first draft came in, I was advised by certain people higher up. They said that you need to start working on Sanskrit. And little did I know that, Sanskrit is going to be a part of the NEP 2020 and it's going to be part of the learning system. I did not know that the three language formula is going to come in, but because we were told, we started working onto that. And as a result, we got an order to, implement this in 1100 Kendriya Vidyalayas. So today we are working with 570 KVs who've already implemented this. That is besides the point why we did it. But when we started designing, developing the Sanskrit Language Lab, I realized it is such a beautiful language. It is not as difficult as it was portrayed to us. During our schooling, 8th standard, 9th standard, 10th standard, and you take up there, they do the slokas, do this, do that. But nobody talked about communicative Sanskrit. And I'm sure all the principals, they know that 7th of August or 6th of August 2021, there was a circular from CBSE saying that bring in communicative Sanskrit and English in your 9th and 10th standard. Why have they done that? Because understand there's a lot there in Sanskrit. One, it is the most logical language in the world. You see, they say computers work with zeros and ones, and even Sanskrit works with zeros and ones. Everything, if there's a word and the spellings are there, each letter of Sanskrit, if it is there, there's a reason, there's a logical reason why it is there, and that is why it works. It's the only language which has got singular, double, and plural, right? We have one, two, and many. Look at that. Even before, we came with a neutral gender in English, it already had a neutral gender. Our Rishi Munis knew that this is there. They knew the, creation of God. So understand something which has gone through such a lot, through ages and ages, that language has a lot of value. And let me tell you one thing, it is so simple. The grammar is so simple, and we were scared of grammar. I always give this example. If I have to say, my name is Jaswinder, how would I say that in Sanskrit? Mama nama Jaswindara. But if I say Jaswindra Mama Nama, that is also correct. Nama Mama Jaswindra, that is also correct. So it doesn't matter. So language which allows you to speak in the way you want and still make meaning out of it, make sense out of it, that is the beauty of this language. And let me tell you one thing. All languages somewhere are connected to Sanskrit, Indian languages, and a lot of foreign languages too. So understand that this language can do wonders to our country. It is not saffronization of our languages. No, let's not think on that side. Look at what this cultural language of ours, how strong it is, how logical it is, and how beautiful it is. And that's how I got drawn. And after Sanskrit, I started getting into other languages. Sarita ma'am, you are a Nair, that means you are from Kerala, but I don't think that you are from Kerala. Or are you from Kerala? The surname is Kerala, but not the other one, right? But you see,
Absolutely.
when I meet somebody from Kerala, I would like to talk about their language. If I meet somebody from Karnataka, I would like to do that. If I meet somebody from West Bengal, I would like to speak a little bit about, because that connects me. So what I'm trying to say, Sanskrit, Kannada, Malayalam, Tamil, Bengali, Punjabi, Gujarati, all these languages we should give exposure. That is why, schools should be multicultural schools. We have multicultural teachers. So, we get different flavors. We get to see what they eat. We also get to listen to what they speak. So all these languages can get it. So in a nutshell, I would say, bring in as many languages as possible. And why only Indian? Why not the foreign languages also? Because it is not that we are the only ones who have got culture. Everybody in the world has a culture. Let's get to know. We will only know more. We will only learn more. So as a company, we've decided to come up with most of the languages, Indian languages. We're working on Bengali. We're working on Gujarati. We're working on Punjabi. We're working on Tamil. We're working on Telugu. Right? So slowly getting out, and even Marathi, ma'am, because we're already very closely working with the government of Maharashtra on these projects. So what happens here is Sanskrit, push it. You will see that kids will like it. And what we've done in a language lab, we've actually started studying how do we make Sanskrit very simple. You know, I myself had a lot of beating from my parents because of not doing well in Sanskrit. But I realized that in Gujarat, we have the Jain Munis here. You know, a Jain person who wants to become a Muni, before they become a full-fledged Muni, they are supposed to clear the Sanskrit exams. I went and found out how did they do it. They said nothing, day-to-day things. So you have to speak only in Sanskrit, and slowly you get to the vocabulary and you start connecting the words and you get it. It takes a couple of years to know a language. So if we can do that, start young, start early, get our students, expose them to as many languages as possible, and I'm sure they will go a long way. So that's why technology or using languages or knowing more people or knowing more culture brings everything together. And that's how I would say language learning is beautiful, and I'm in love with languages. That's what I would say. I'm actually a hardcore coding, and coding walo ka dimag dil nahi hota, sirf dimag hota hai. But you know, from there, when I came into languages, I realized there's something known as a heart, and you need to put your heart into whatever you do. That's how language is lovely.
Amazing, sir. Sarita ma'am, you want to say something?
Sir was talking about different languages that we have in our country. And yesterday, one student of upper KG was brought to my office and he wanted to sing a song in Japanese.
Oh, wow.
I was surprised. I said, we are not teaching this language in school. And I asked him, where did you learn it? He said, I love to watch Japanese channels on YouTube. And I found the young children were singing this Japanese song and I picked it up from there. So I asked him, what do you know the meaning? Because he doesn't know the language. So he says, children were singing. So I know that it's a kid's song, you see. And then he learned the two words of thank you and how are you? And he greeted me with that the next day. I'm like, there's so much that children have learned during the pandemic. And I think we just have to give them wings and we have to just give them an opportunity. We have to just give them the tools. And the teacher has to become so tech savvy that she can guide the students in a right path. And as you mentioned, Jaswinder Singh ji, that yes, Sanskrit should be given the importance in the schools. But unfortunately, we don't have in Sanskrit teachers.
And so Hindi, I'm telling you, when you use a tool, even a Hindi teacher will be able to teach Sanskrit. That's why it is there.
So in Maharashtra, I have a Marathi teacher and I don't have Hindi teacher. I made the Marathi teacher to teach Hindi and just leave Marathi on one side because there is so much of similarity.
And lipi same hai.
Yes. And it's so difficult to get a pure Hindi teacher over here because most of them are studied in Marathi and that is their colloquial language and, you know, everything else. And I mean, like, I'm struggling with all of this because I know 4 languages can be taught.
Sir will help you. Ma'am, sir will help you. Don't worry.
I will only say Kai Jala, ma'am.
I learned Malayalam through a book called Learn Malayalam in 30 Days when I got married. Because I'm a Punjabi and I got married to a Kerala. And when I went to Kerala for the first time, I said, I have to know this language. Otherwise, I mean, like, I can't even go and shop and I cannot understand what people are talking in the house. So I got that book and I learned at least whatever I could in 30 days.
Ma'am, you should know what I did. I learned Gujarati to get married to a Gujarati. So I speak better Gujarati than her.
Oh, lovely.
But she's from Tamil Nadu. She speaks Tamil. So then she has a way out. If she doesn't want me to know something, she'll speak in Tamil. But then that's it. So, you know, ma'am, language is, again, the right thing. It is not from the brain. It is from the heart. So if you fall in love with somebody, don't blame the language. Language gets you there.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We'll come up to the last part, which is a surprise for the people who have come for the first time, but not a surprise for the people who had come earlier. You, before parting, you have to sing 2 lines, you know, a very good goodbye from the educators, the me time of the educators. Sarita ma'am, you already know, you have put your hand already up. So you will, as a senior, you will start with that. The others will get inspired. 2 lines which every participant has to sing.
All
Sarita ma'am,
right. All
you are a
right.
Punjabi. You can go for Punjabi also. I have no issues.
Okay,
If not
today I'm the first
Yeah.
one to in it, so I don't have much time for the preparation. So I'll just go with what has come to my mind right now. And okay, everyone will have to bear with me because I'm a very bad singer. Any which ways, let me just take this lead here. Hmm. हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हो मन में है भी है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। Thank you.
Nice, nice.
Nita ma'am, over to you.
The same song I can also repeat.
Ma'am, that will be a cheating, man, a copy. You will be caught in the examination,
But
ma'am.
I'm very much inspired by this song, so I'll be repeating the same song.
Okay, ma'am, you can go ahead with that. We'll love that.
Okay. हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन। हो मन में है विश्वास, पूरा है विश्वास, हम होंगे कामयाब एक दिन।
Good. Nice.
Anuva, ma'am, you are on the second number in the poster, ma'am. So it should be your turn. Ma'am, we don't. Yeah.
But I will pick from the Sanskrit language. Sanskrit is one language that makes our tongue.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking. Your voice is cracking.
Better now?
Not better, ma'am.
That's okay, ma'am. You try now.
You try now. Okay.
So we're just sharing. I'm picking from Sanskrit language, which is one language that makes our tongue proficient to speak any language of the world with immaculate proficiency. It gives us that flexibility of tongue twisting. And being associated with Chinmaya for a long time, there was a Sanskrit birthday greeting that we used to sing for any birthdays. I'll just pick from there and I just remember one or two lines. In fact, I remember the whole song, but that's I cannot sing well, so I'll just stick to two. Janamadinikam ay priya sakhi sadhanamukte sarvadamudam.
Good. Right.
Good, nice.
This much Sanskrit is too much for us, ma'am. This much of Sanskrit is too much for us.
Chandok sir, we should promote these kind of birthday songs because then everybody will sing at least 10 times or 20 times in the class and they will get to know that. So if we can have, instead of saying happy birthday and all, if we get this, imagine everybody gets it and then you can record it. I mean, that's one good way of doing it.
Very inspiring.
Yes, ma'am.
Very inspiring. Preeti ma'am.
The lyrics are extremely beautiful.
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
share it with the panel soon.
Sure, ma'am. Preeti ma'am.
Okay, so Mr. Chandok, we have great singers here in this virtual room. Okay.
One of you is you, ma'am.
Okay, is it? Okay. So I'm singing one of my favorite songs, and it's from a very old movie called Hum Dono. मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया. So I know only the first two lines. So मैं जिंदगी का साथ निभाता चला गया, हर फिक्र को धुएं में उड़ाता चला गया. This much is enough?
Yes, ma'am. Anything is enough.
Thank you.
So nice.
Ruchi ma'am, now you have to, you are the pride of Kanpur now. Proud of my, proud of my city also. So you have to take care. You have to sing 2 lines, ma'am, or at least 3 lines for a very beautiful song, from a very beautiful song. You're a Punjabi also, ma'am. Punjabi also from Kanpur also, my city.
My God, Mr. Chandok, so you're
What heavy banana?
making even heavy for me, yes. Because I'm not a singer, but yes, after pandemic, when I organized the first kind of informal get together for my teachers this winter, and we had a fire camp. I thank these 2 guys for my teachers, which I'm singing for you all, because we together won this battle, and I'm sure we will do it ahead together. तुम साथ हो जब अपनी दुनिया को दिखा देंगे, मौत जीने के अंदाज दिखा दे. So this is all for the.
So, ma'am, so what ma'am is saying is all for the fraternity of teachers who've actually lived up without the support of the government. I'll just cover what ma'am was saying. Is there an internet issue everywhere?
Contact details of each one of you with each other so that you may get connected with each other, also knowing each other. And I hope you all had a good time, and we'll meet some other session again and have a good time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
evening.
Chandok. And
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
Pleasure is mine.
Very good evening to everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good evening. Good
Nice
evening.
meeting everyone.
Thank you.